Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video, I wanted to share my updated thoughts on who I believe are some of the best 5-star champions to take up to rank 5 as of April 2020. Now, I've spent the majority of the day so far today updating this wonderful spreadsheet where we have a look at each and every character that I believe is worthy of that rank 5 and also how they perform in various modes of endgame gameplay with kind of a rough like 1 to 5 rating, 5 being insanely effective, like really good options. 4 is still like really useful, but 5 is like, you know, borderline broken, just almost a bit too good there. And like on the other end of the spectrum, you've got your like 1 and 2s, which are like not really that good or somewhat usable, so maybe not what you want to go for, but you could possibly get away. And 3 is like, you know, if you have the perseverance, that character is decent, you can make them work, but there might be better options out there. So that's kind of the code on today's tier list, but we're going to get into the full breakdown after a very quick word from today's sponsors, Game Oils.
Essential oils, aromas for natural wellness and healing. But current products aren't made for gamers. Now there's a better way to holistically improve your game with sense-like strategy, kill-death ratio, and dominance. All of them mostly safe and distilled using nature science. This is what victory smells like.
Just kidding, guys. If you've seen some of the tournaments out there, you know that most gamers are oily enough as it is. But the real sponsor of today's video is Raid Shadow Legends, the brand new epic dark fantasy turn-based RPG that has taken the universe by storm. You can now play Raid Shadow Legends on your mobile phone or your PC. There's endless choice. And now the new player login program has been doubled from 90 to 180 days. So there's tons of rewards that you can get. There's energy, shards, equipment, and also on day 180 there is a free legendary barbarian champion, Sile of the Drake. And on top of that, if you go to the links in the description of this video right now and download Raid Shadow Legends, you can start your adventure with this free epic barbarian champion, Jotun. An absolutely stacked titan of a man, very much like myself, with a massive sword. So if you want to get this guy, get into Raid Shadow Legends and start tearing through some of the early content in this game, then all you need to do is click that link in the description of this video. And once you download Raid Shadow Legends, if you go to kind of the main town hall area and then top right hand corner, you've got this treasure trove icon. If you open that up, then there is going to be your free epic champion Jotun, and also 100,000 silver. But you gotta hurry because this is only available for 30 days. A massive thank you once again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring the channel, and if you do want to check it out, links to download the game will be in the description of today's video. Once again, mad love to our sponsors, but anyway, let's crack on and get into the breakdown. So every single class is in a very rough order of what are probably the best champions to rank 5 first at the top, and maybe some of the less desirable ones toward the bottom. But like, in all honesty, man, like every single champion in this list, at least in my opinion, is worthy of rank 5 if you like the character, if you got a solid use for them. But again, characters, depending on what you're trying to focus on next, do have different levels of value. So that's something you always need to consider. What content am I looking at doing next? And also, what pieces of utility do I need to get past certain bosses or obstacles that may be presented in that content? But anyway, let's crack on and go to the Cosmic class first. So at the top, man, you got Corvus Glaive, still a monster for all sorts of stuff in Alliance War, Alliance Quest Map 6-7, some of the variant stuff as well, Act 6 100%. Like, we did a bit of a run with 6-star rank 2 Corvus, and that's kind of roughly the equivalent of the 5-star rank 5. If you have full suicide masteries, this guy is just crazy, man. He's so crazy. Get a cosmic power booster as well, and you get to that special 2, and it's just like back-to-back special 2s, win game, win life. But yeah, Corvus still really good for a lot of the the health pools inside the majority of the game. The only thing he's not really that great for is like Labyrinth and also a little bit of Variant 2 as well. But I've seen people actually use him in Abyss of Legends for stuff like the final collector boss, kind of just chipping away. Also like the Iron Men in Abyss, so he can have his uses there. Again, a little bit slower, but potentially as well an option. Then we've got Hyperion. Hyperion's just a beast, man. There's so much damage output, a lot of uses throughout pretty much every aspect of the game. I would say that Hyperion is maybe like a bit more of an all-rounder than Corvus, and he doesn't need the suicide masteries. So yeah, I love Hyperion, man. Personally, Hyperion has been my boy for years, and he's just done so much work. And again, like all the variants, Act 6, and also Abyss as well, he does have his uses in there. So Hyperion, absolutely fantastic. Cat Marvel movie, if you're running suicides, even if you're not running suicides, man, kind of the main thing with Cat Marvel movie is that you have Nick Fury and you play Nick Fury quite often, because they really do need to be paired together in order to get the most out of Captain Marvel movie. But the burst on her, the indestructible, is just absolutely amazing. And doing the, what is it, Mr. Sinister boss in 6.2 a load of times, I found that she was the best option for just zerging him down, and he's like one of the most notoriously annoying bosses in the game. So yeah, lots of love to Captain Marvel movie. Medusa, whenever there's like big robots that need to be shut down, she's really, really good. Really does shine in Variant 1. Also has all sorts of uses throughout Act 6 when there are annoying robots, and just occasionally in stuff like Alliance Quest, Alliance War. She's always like a really hard-hitting champion that's poison immune, lots of armor breaks as well. So depending on the scenario, man, there's a lot of great uses for Medusa. Still a really, really solid champion, at least in my opinion. And then next up we got Cull Obsidian. Cull Obsidian, he is, you know, a very, very hard-hitting champion. However, his sustainability isn't really the best, but with that damage output, you can get through a lot of stuff. If you have the revives, you got the health potions as well, can tear through some of the variant stuff, a lot of stuff in Act 6 as well. He can just absolutely demolish. So if Cull Obsidian, you know, is he cup of tea? He can, certainly work out, and I think he is actually a little bit better after the recent balance change that we had earlier this year, because it just makes his ramp up, especially in the earlier fights, just much easier and much quicker. So yeah, I actually really did like the changes to Cull Obsidian. So yeah, a pretty solid rank 5 if you do like him. Then we got Venom the Duck. Again, have very similar uses, I would say, overall to Cull Obsidian. Both of them have really high damage output. Venom the Duck is amazing for any scenario where there's massive armor, but even outside of that, he's got great sustainability or great damage output, depending on how you want to build him. But there's a lot of stuff you can do with Venom the Duck, so really, really good character. Venom has fantastic damage output, lots of utility when it comes to being able to strip buffs, counter evade champions, armor break. There's just lots of little stuff that Venom does that really, really adds up. So yeah, I like Venom. And then we got Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer, a more recent addition. Kind of the main reason you rank 5 Silver Surfer is for prestige, but outside of that, he's still a pretty valuable champion for all sorts of little paths when it does come to Act 6 100%. And also there's lots of scenarios, especially in Alliance Quest Map 7, where he's a really useful character to have. So yeah, Silver Surfer, he's got armor breaks. He also has the ability to take no damage from incinerates, shocks, and also cold snap effects from Iceman as well, I believe. But there are some what is it, outliers to his damage reduction on those abilities. Like when you're fighting Human Torch and there's like an incinerate modifier, then sometimes he takes incinerate damage. So his kind of immunity is like a little bit weird, but sometimes it's just like an additional damage bonus. And I really enjoy his playstyle, man. His damage output is pretty decent. But again, kind of the main reason you take up Silver Surfer is probably for like Map 7 and Prestige, and maybe a few paths here and there when it does come to Act 600%. So that is it for the Cosmic class. And then we have the the tech class up next, and I would say just the queen of the tech class, arguably the game, is Ghost. Ghost is just like amazing for everything. She is, I would say, fairly confidently probably the best champion overall for Act 6 100%. She's just insanely good with the phasing. The phasing just allows you to not take parry damage or block damage when you learn how to play her really well, and with a tech power booster you just like looping the special 2s back to back. It's just broken. It feels so dirty. But Ghost is, yeah, she's phenomenal. Arguably best champion in the game, definitely top 3 in any list that could ever be made. So yeah, Ghost is just the one to go for a lot of stuff. But also Warlock, man. Warlock is an amazing champion just because he covers like so much ground in this game. He's really good for like all of the variants. Really strong champion to a lot of the defense setups that we currently see in Alliance War. If there are Mr. Sinisters, Sabertooths, Havocs, anything with regeneration, like there's so much utility that Warlock has to play around with that just allows him to be able to deal with pretty much any matchup when it does come to Alliance War. So yeah, he's just fantastic for that, man. A really good character. So yeah, Ghost and Warlock, by far the top 2, I would say. And then I'd say if you're a very skilled player, and I probably do need to add the what is it, skill icon onto Guillotine 2099 here, just looking at it. Like, she is a powerhouse, man. She's so good. The damage output is ridiculous, but you need to play really well and also like not die, and that can be a little bit tricky to do in Act 6 sometimes. But if you can constantly just keep on ending the fights with special 3 and starting with her pre-fight ability, then she's a beast. She is so good. So yeah, I do think that some people maybe underrate her a little bit, but she does so much work as well in the tech variant. A very powerful option there. But again, she does have the highest damage ramp up potential in the entire game when it does come to Labyrinth of Legends. However, I would say Aegon overall is still kind of the king of Labyrinth of Legends, and we'll talk about him in a second. But again, she's got tons of utility, double immunities. You can use her to get the crossbones down, to get Cavalier. Also with a robot synergy, she does work for the Mr. Sinister as well. So again, a lot of stuff you can do with Guillotine 2099. Sentinel has a lot of great uses when it comes to variant content and also Act 6 100%. I think he is definitely a little bit in the shadow of Warlock, but he does get a lot of stuff done, man. That double immunity of poison and bleed is really valuable, and he's just got a lot of additional utility on that base, which is useful for all sorts of weird and quirky matchups. And then next up below, I'd say that overall, when it does come to the uses that Sentinel has in all of the variant content because of his tags, and also Act 600% because of his immunities, I would say he's arguably a bit better to rank 5 in the current state of the game than Stark Enhanced Spider-Man. But Stark Spidey, still, if you enjoy his playstyle, he's a really good character to take up because he hits like a friggin' truck. That auto evade, the stun, the power drain, he's still got some nice utility on his kit, man. I still really like Stark Spider-Man, but he is kind of a bit behind some of like the just crazy OP tech champions in terms of like his overall uses at the moment. But still, he gets the job done in a lot of scenarios. So if you do like Stark Spider-Man, not too bad at all. Doc Ock, I found, is really good for a lot of the variant stuff overall. Like spamming that heavy is just amazing in so many different scenarios, and very valuable for variant 3 as well, especially those power gain paths. But also when it does come to Act 6 100%, I actually had like many uses for my Dr. Octopus on all sorts of different paths. So yeah, he turned out to be really handy. I think he's a champion overall that is a little bit slept on, but he's really good, man, because you just have the ability to infinitely power lock and heal block the opponent, and then just backdraft and siphon their power back to Dr. Octopus and any healing they might get. So in certain matchups, he just absolutely dominates there. A very valuable addition. Then next up, we got the Mutant class, and the Mutant class is really tough just because all of the Mutant champions are amazing, man. There are so many good mutants, and there are so many different reasons depending on like what you need to upgrade, you know, various mutants, man. But I would say, you know, if you're running the Suicide Masteries, abilities at the very top of the class has to be a Mega Red. Like, there's so much damage output, the double immunities on him are just absolute fire as well. The ability to regenerate is just crazy good, and his playstyle of kind of dealing that degeneration damage and using the heavy attacks allows you to play him a little bit slower to get around all sorts of nodes and matchups, and he also pairs very well with Colossus. So a lot of people out there are running kind of a Mega Red Colossus setups at the moment and having a lot of fun with those, but he's great for all sorts of stuff, especially when it comes to variant content, Act 6 100% as well. But also we have Domino, man. Domino, when paired with the full trinity of Red Hulk and Massacre, is just broken. She is so good. Like, you can just spam heavy attacks for a lot of the earlier stuff in Act 6 and just win the game. Works so well for Variant 2 as well, because you can spam heavy attacks and not take any of the glancing damage back. But also in Labyrinth for 100%, she has a ton of damage output, because the more you ramp her up, the more her bleed deals off her special 3. So yeah, that hits really hard once you get into fights, and with a full trinity you can also refresh that bleed as well. So yeah, she's crazy good for some of that stuff, and I've seen people take Domino into the Abyss of Legends and have some really good success if they're building the full trinity. It's not really the level of success that you get with like the 4 Horsemen and Aegon, but it's still really nice. So yeah, she's a great option, man. Sunspot, I love Sunspot. I have been running double Sunspot for the longest time in Alliance Quest Map 7. Like, he is just so good for the paths that I run, but also it's just like the damage output combined with that perfect block. He has the ability to absorb incinerates, and yeah, loads of debuffs as well. So he works really well for all sorts of paths when it does come to Alliance Quest Map 7. But I love Sunspot, man. Like, I'm just double Sunspot for life. I got that 6-star rank 3, that 5-star rank 5, and he has so much burst as well and so much damage that he's just amazing for all sorts of stuff when it does come to Act 6 100%. Again, one of the big problems that you face in a lot of matchups in Act 6 is that the attack values are just ridiculous. So even on parry, you just take so much damage. But with Sunspot, man, as long as you've got an Incinerate on the opponent, when you go to parry, you always take 0 damage. And then, you know, you get to like 3 or 4 flare states, fire off a special 2, and your opponent is just nuked down. It's just such a quick, such an efficient rotation. And yeah, this guy's damage is just busted, man. It's so good. And then next up, we got Namor. So Namor, I used Namor for ages in Alliance War, man. I haven't used him too much recently, just due to a bit of a shift in defense there, and also like playing Warlock a lot more. But Namor is really good for countering like any fun and interactive damage, because when you're attacking into the opponent with the awakened ability, you reflect any damage you're taking at the opponent. So this is really good for all sorts of stuff across all of the variants. He's even viable for variant 2, because you can reflect some of that glancing damage as well, and also a lot of paths in Act 6 where you take you know, just all sorts of fun and interactive damage for whatever reason, man. But yeah, Namor's really good. He's a big investment, though. However, he has some really good prestige to go along with that investment. So, you know, he always has that as a bit of an additional, like, icing on the cake there. But Namor, I think he has a lot of solid uses throughout the game. And then we have Archangel. Archangel is maybe, for some people, a 5 when it does come to Act 600%. I've seen this guy used a lot in Variant 2, a lot in Act 6, and a lot in Abyss of Legends as well. It's basically like any scenario that you can bleed and poison the opponent and just spam heavy attacks, Archangel is just ridiculously good. Like, arguably one of the highest damage outputs in the game. When he can do that, the damage is just crazy, man. And some of the combos you can get off those neurotoxin stuns are very nice as well. So maybe Archangel should be a little bit higher for those pieces of content, because yeah, he's just a beast, man. He's so good. And then recently, Colossus, I feel like I've been undervaluing Colossus, maybe a little bit, because I've been watching some of the Steiny's Labyrinth of Legends streams with Colossus, man. I think he's going for the full 100%, and yeah, I've just seen some crazy numbers, man. Like, whenever I open Twitter, I swear, like, you know, half the time, like, Steiny's got some crazy Colossus clip on the timeline. I'm like, wow, okay, maybe I'm underrating this man a little bit, but I've heard a lot of people having tremendous success using Colossus in Labyrinth of Legends. And there's lots of videos up from all sorts of players, also in variant content as well, and also Act 6 100% because of his kind of Captain America Infinity War-esque playstyle, comboed with all the utility that he has, that triple immunity, the armor up. Like, he seems like a really solid option for all these like weird paths when it does come to Act 6 100%. So there's a lot of good stuff going on with Colossus there. I think he's very rank 5 worthy, but again, big investment, and ideally you do need what is it, Omega Red and Emma Frost as well on the team to kind of access his full potential. But yeah, they're great champions, man, so that really isn't too much of a downside there. And then next up we have Havoc. Havoc is really, really good. I find him like amazing for Alliance War. He's pretty much my go-to team at the moment, along with Warlock and Doctor Doom the majority of the time. Maybe a little bit of Nick Fury in there occasionally, if I do have a lot of champions that can bleed on the path. But Havoc is really good for Alliance War. Before I had Sunspot, I used to run this guy in place of Sunspot in Alliance Quest Map 7 and worked out like really, really nicely for me. He's amazing for variant 1, really, really good for a lot of the troublesome fights in the first chapter, and also when it does come to Act 6 100%, Havoc was just so good for all these like weird and niche kind of energy paths, like the shock path he's amazing for, but all sorts of like different scenarios, man. I was just finding Havoc was having a crazy amount of value. I'd very often bring him in, so yeah, Havoc is just an amazing champion, man. I really, really like Havoc, but again, there are so many good mutants to choose from. Like, honestly, all of these characters are just absolutely phenomenal. And then we move on to the science class. So if you can master the art of Quake and Shake and not need to rely on parry and just play against the wall, hold heavy, constantly evade your opponent and kind of get that mastery full down and play Quake to her full potential, then she is insanely good. Like, she's so good for Alliance War, man. I've really like changed my tune on Quake, but I've seen like so much amazing gameplay that I'm like, okay, I cannot ignore this, man. This is amazing stuff. So yeah, she's awesome for Alliance War, very good for a lot of stuff in Alliance Quest Map 6-7 as well. Variant 1 shreds a lot of stuff. Variant 2 shreds a lot of stuff there as well. Act 6 100% has a ton of value there. Abyss 100%, she can kind of work for some stuff, but again, she's not really a champion you want to use just due to the overall lower damage output and the Abyss Enrage. It just doesn't work too well with Quake, but like pretty much everything else in the game, man, she's really, really good for. Captain America Infinity War up next is amazing for so much of the variant stuff, man, especially Variant 1, Variant 2, but also Act 6 100%. Like, his ability to always take 0 damage on the parries is just so valuable for a lot of the stuff in Act 6 100%, and also he's got fantastic damage output, so much utility as well, so a real MVP champion there. A character that's got a lot more appreciation as well, at least for me in the last like 4 or 5 months, is Human Torch. This champion is amazing for so many fights in Act 6 100% that are really annoying, and also Abyss of Legends, those massive Mystic champions or massive Mr. Sinisters in there, he is just crazy good for. And any scenario where there's just a really big amount of regeneration that does need to be reversed, like Human Torch is just phenomenal for. He is easily the best option for the Abyss of Legends Deadpool, mainly because you can't bring in like Captain America there, but he's so good for that fight, and a lot of regen in Abyss of Legends he just absolutely demolishes, so he's a solid 5 for that, but again has a lot of value in all sorts of stuff. And also I'm seeing him played against kind of Mojo bosses in Alliance War at the moment, because they seem to be the popular thing at the moment, and I think with the pre-fight ability, he's very reliably getting solos in the hands of skilled players, which is always very nice to see. Now, next up, we got Void, and Void is a champion I took to rank 5 kind of midway through my Abyss of Legends run, and then I've also done Act 6 100%, and he had so much value in Act 6 100% that I've really become a true believer in Void. He's amazing for all of the scenarios where there's just like a really annoying node, but you want to keep chipping the opponent down with his very consistent degeneration damage. There are also so many really annoying Iron Man. Iron Man Infinity War is just plastered all over the place, and Void is still one of the best counters to Iron Man, just because he can constantly shut down that power gain during the last 15% if you've got the double Petrify active, and also reverse it as well with Fear of the Void, while also having a constant stream of really, really solid damage. So Void, I've got really a new appreciation for this year, but also in Abyss 100%, I used this guy to reverse the regeneration of Hulk Ragnarok, and also he was really, really good for the Cable matchup as well. So he does have his uses in the Abyss of Legends, but overall, Human Torch is the best option for Abyss of Legends, but Void is a nice champion to bring alongside Torch for certain paths and certain scenarios. And then we got Thing. Thing with the full team synergy is just a cheat code, man. If you can bring in like the full like champion, Heimdall, Hela, Angela team, this champion is ridiculously strong. He just demolishes everything, and this is really good for a lot of the earlier stuff in Act 6, Variant 1, Variant 2, and even in Alliance Quest, he does have on his base like so much utility in terms of the bleed immunity, shock immunity, he's got Nullify, the ability to get rid of unstoppable stuff. So there's a lot of little things that Thing can do that make him really good for certain paths in Alliance Quest, especially when it does come to map 7. So yeah, he's got some solid value if you do want to take him up, but for a lot of stuff outside of that, again, if you do want to see the most out of Thing, you kind of do need that full team synergy. And then after that, we got She-Hulk, man. She-Hulk deals some crazy damage if you can ramp her up, play very aggressively. I've seen a lot of success from people using She-Hulk in the Abyss of Legends against Thing and also Luke Cage. And Luke Cage is arguably one of the most annoying bosses in the Abyss of Legends. So yeah, she seems really good for some fights in the Abyss and has some solid value if you're trying to build a bit of an alternate team and kind of get through the content without Aegon there. So she does have her uses. And then we got Gladiator Hulk, who's just really awesome for all the variants, man. Maybe a bit of a borderline rank 5 for some people, but if you really do like the character, I do not think he is the worst. Also a very good counter, just if there's ever any like fun and interactive damage, just to be able to regenerate the majority of that damage back and also gain an additional damage bonus while doing so. So I think he has some really good uses in variant content and a few solid uses in Act 6 100% as well. So yeah, certainly not too bad. Then moving down to the skill class, we have the combo king of the game, man. Aegon, when there are big chunky scenarios, this is the character you want to bring. He is just brokenly good for Labyrinth of Legends and the Abyss of Legends 100%, just because his combo just keeps on stacking up with that awakened ability, Fight to Fight, and you get to like 1,000 combo. He's unblockable, hitting like a truck, and yeah, he's just awesome, man. He's so good. You can also play him in other modes of gameplay. I know some people that do kind of force Aegon in Alliance War and Alliance Quest, and it can work out if you've got the right path. So yeah, potentially a good option there, but again, not really the right character for every path. But this champion's main uses, I would say a Labyrinth 100%, Abyss 100% works very well for a lot of stuff in Act 6 100%, and also even in stuff like Variant 3 with the damage reduction, he can just build up even more combo and get past that, so can work out for certain paths and scenarios there. But Aegon is a beast. He's really, really good. And then next up we got Nick Fury, who is just crazy in terms of the amount of bleed damage that this champion dishes out. Really good for a lot of stuff in Labyrinth of Legends 100%. One of my go-to characters very often for Alliance War, if there's like an Invisible Woman boss or mini boss or a lot of bleed characters that I can kind of take advantage of, because he does need to be able to bleed to get the most out of him. Has a lot of really solid uses in Alliance Quest maps 6 and 7. I use Nick Fury for the Do You Bleed nodes in the final section, and he's just like broken for that, man. He's so good. Variant 1 has some solid uses. Variant 3, because the damage output can just overpower a lot of the stuff. Act 6, 100%, tons of uses for Nick Fury in there, and also when it does come to the Abyss of Legends, really valuable for all sorts of bosses where you can just bleed and shred them. I think probably the highlights are like Invisible Woman. He's just so good on that fight. Yellow Jacket, amazing for, because he can't be stunned as well in his second phase. And also the Green Goblin boss, like Nick Fury, is just really insane for that encounter as well. So yeah, Nick Fury is just awesome, man. If you haven't already checked him out, definitely look up a few videos there. Then we got the Mystic and Villain counter, Blade. And Blade, still throughout the game, he has a lot of really strong uses in the right matchup, but again, it does need to be ideally somebody with a villain tag or a mystic champion in order to get that danger sense and get the huge additional bonus, and also the very strong ability accuracy reduction as well. But for all sorts of paths and scenarios, he can have great uses in Alliance War, Alliance Quest. Labyrinth takes care of some very annoying fights in there as well. Has his uses in some of the variant content. Act 6, 100%, plenty of annoying mystic and villain champions in there. And Abyss 100%, he can work well for some fights, but building in Blade when it does come to Abyss is a bit more of an investment. But again, he can work out if you really do want to go down that route. But I think when it does come to the Abyss, just due to the nature of how many bosses you need to fight and how you need to build your team, Blade is not really a go-to option for a lot of players looking to do that, but he is an option that you could potentially get away with if you did have all the other counters. Then next up, we got Stealth Suit Spider-Man. I think he's having a lot of solid uses throughout the game, man. He's awesome for Labyrinth, really good for a lot of stuff in Alliance War, Alliance Quest map 6, 7. There's this new like thing boss in map 7 that has Unstoppable and also the evade chance as well, which is just really annoying, man. And Spider-Man stealth is like, I think the best counter for that fight at the moment, so he's just getting like more love, more value as time progresses. Really solid for a lot of the variant stuff as well. Act 600% has tons of great uses there. I really do love him against the Grandmaster, but any scenario where there's Unstoppable, he can really get around quite nicely. And also, yeah, Abyss 100% very good for the Thing boss there, very good for the Luke Cage boss as well. Kind of similar uses in a way to She-Hulk, but Stealth Spidey, he's just really fun to play. Very satisfying, solid utility, and not a champion that is going to disappoint too much. And then I also put Night Thrasher and Killmonger, because I know some people really do enjoy these champions. They have their utility as well. Like Night Thrasher, he's got some really solid damage output, lots of gadgets and debuffs to play around with, a bit of ability accuracy reduction if you build in the synergies. You've got the taunt, you've got the incinerate immunity. So there is some nice stuff Night Thrasher can do in some variants, and also Act 6 as well, but I would say there are better champions. And also Killmonger, you know, you've got the evade counter with True Strike. You can use his indestructible to tank like blocked hits, parried hits, and also the damage from special 3s as well. But Killmonger is a little bit lacking, at least in my experience, when it does come to the damage output of the champion. I always find his damage just to be so underwhelming. But again, like, some people really like Killmonger, man. If you really invested in champion, you take him up to rank 5, like, he's not too bad. He can definitely like put in a bit of work on all sorts of stuff when it does come to Act 6 100%. And then finally we got the Mystic class. Now I'd say the god king of the Mystic class at the moment, at least for me, is Dr. Doom. I always run Dr. Doom in Alliance War now. He's crazy good for everything, I just find, just because you get to that special 3 and then the opponent is just they're just dead, man. They're just absolutely ruined because you get massive amounts of damage off it. Then you get that stun lock and you can combo very often straight into special too. And yeah, it just works really, really well for Alliance War. So I've been having so much fun with Dr. Doom in Alliance War. But he's great for a lot of individual paths when it does come to Alliance Quest Map 6-7. Very good for Variant 1. Got some solid uses in Variant 3 as well. Act 6 100% has tons of uses. Abyss of Legends 100% has tons of uses as well. He's so good. Best Mystic champion by a pretty significant margin, at least in my opinion, when it does come to the Abyss of Legends, because also he can deal with the Korg matchups as well, because he doesn't take any damage from cracking the rock shield. So yeah, he's really good versus Korg, man. But yeah, Dr. Doom has a crazy amount of value. Honestly, this champion is just beyond hype and a very good investment. But also Symbiote Supreme is amazing as well. Very good. Any scenario where there are a lot of buffs that you can strip and take advantage of, he is awesome for. Very good for a lot of troublesome fights in Act 6 100%. He's really good for that champion boss, man. So good for that champion boss, especially on some of the easier paths there. There's also like a Medusa Bleed boss after that he's really good for. And also Abyss 100%. If you don't have Dr. Doom, Symbiote Supreme can be a good sub, especially when it does come to the easier path stuff. So yeah, really good option if you don't have Doom to deal with a few of the fights there. Then next up we have Black Widow Clairvoyant, a very versatile champion. She can have all sorts of immunities. You've got access to the what is it? The bleed immunity, incinerate immunity, poison immunity. You've got a debuff seal off of the special 2 as well. You've got some pretty strong regeneration, power control, some alright damage as well if you are in the Hellfire stance, and just a lot of nice utility that this champion does have on her base. So when it does come to Act 6, she's really good for like the champion boss, man. Works really well there. But also for getting Cavalier in the first place, she's really good for that Crossbones, because she can be a bleed immune champion for the biohazard node, but also get rid of that regeneration as well. So yeah, she's a really solid investment, at least in my opinion. If you enjoy playing the champion, you got Mystic Dispersion, and yeah, you need to get some progress done. So Black Widow, really good champion. Then next up we have Morningstar, and I have such a renewed appreciation for Morningstar after doing all the hard paths on the 6.2 champion boss, and that boss is a nightmare. It's arguably like the worst boss in the game at the moment, but Morningstar's regeneration, 50% perfect block, and just awesome damage output make that fight really fun to do. So she is just like on a whole nother level for that fight. But also, if you really do like Morningstar and you want to build her up, there are a lot of paths that she works really well for. Like, she's a solid champion, but she does kind of need like 1 or 2 fights to really get into it. But I've seen people use Morningstar in all sorts of very clever ways. So yeah, I think, you know, in the hands of a skilled player, man, she's really valuable for a lot of the Act 6 content, and again can have uses in Abyss of Legends as well as a bit of a sub for Dr. Doom. Same thing with Black Widow Clairvoyant there. And then next up we have Magic. If you are a very skilled Magic player, you can use that special to keep your opponent in the corner, just kind of spam power lock, backdraft, intercept, and she's still really good for a lot of scenarios when it does come to Alliance War. Alliance Quest Map 6-7 has all sorts of uses in there. Got some great uses in some of the variant content, man. Variant 1 very strong for as well. Act 600%, plenty of uses where you can just, you know, keep the opponent in the corner. So yeah, Magic's still a solid investment if you do enjoy her playstyle. And then we've got Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo, you've got some really decent regeneration. You've got the ability accuracy reduction, the power control. There's a lot of stuff with Dr. Voodoo that the more you become familiar with this character and the more skilled you become, the more you can really master him. And yeah, I just see some great stuff for a lot of the people that have taken Dr. Voodoo up to rank 5. He is a bit of a Marmite champion. Some people really enjoy him, some people really don't enjoy him, but I think in the hands of a Dr. Voodoo enthusiast that is very skilled, like, he can do all sorts of work when it does come to Act 6 100%. So yeah, if you really do like Voodoo, I don't think he is a bad rank 5. I was kind of debating adding Longshot Mojo or Sorcerer Supreme to this Mystic rank 5 category as well. And I wanted to mention that, but I feel like in comparison to a lot of these other characters, kind of do all the stuff that those champions do and a little bit more. So I'm yet to be convinced whether or not I believe for like general players that have access to a limited amount of resources that they should rank 5 those champions over the existing proven solid god tier characters out there. So yeah, I'm not entirely convinced yet, because I've taken my 6-star long shot up to rank 2, but it's just Doctor Doom just always gets played over him, man. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'll keep a bit of an eye on that and think about it, but let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. But aside from that, that does bring us to the end of today's best 5-star champions to rank 5 2020 tier list. It's been a beast of a spreadsheet and a beast of a video today, so if you did enjoy it, please do me a massive favor and smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. But aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.